Hi, this is Jeff Blauette, Technical Agronomist for Cooperative Farmers Elevator. And in this week's Field Friday segment, I wanted to look at something else out in this corn that's probably less desirable. With the last couple seasons we've had, the weather's kind of really raised havoc with scheduling and trying to get things done timely and on label, for instance. What we have today to look at is we have some of this corn that we couldn't get sprayed on time with the weather the way it was, so we ended up spraying some stuff that was a little bit bigger than it should have been. Kind of the off-label application of corn that was probably, without being here when it happened, I don't know, but going by the growing degree units and the planting date, this planted May 15 and sprayed July, a little bit after July 4th. Basically, we probably had V9 corn at least. It was probably waist high, it was probably canopied, and we caused some problems here. It's unfortunate, it happens, but there's a reason why we try to stay on label applications so those kinds of things don't happen. So let's take a look at what types of damage was caused in this corn stand. So if you look at this corn, you can kind of see what it should be looking like. And then what some of these damaged plants have going on here. You can see the aphid residue. The aphids got really thick on these, likely caused by all these plants are normal size. They're taking up all these sugars that should be going into the ear. The ear is either malformed or not much at all. And so those plants are really, really full of what the aphids are looking for. So they really reproduced well and got to be a really good population there. But some of these didn't even put on really much of an ear. And some of the other things that we've seen in this, kind of looks like it tried to shoot 2 ears out of that same node. Kind of goofy. I've even seen up to 3 nodes. Just a lot of problems here on a percentage of these plants. So you can see with that ear development being kind of messed up, various things happen to those plants. It's going to definitely hurt the yield, and it's not what we want for sure. So I guess as we go forward here, one of the things that we've continued to try to do a little bit more, and yeah, again, Mother Nature has to let us do that, but we need to start spraying corn probably a little earlier than we have in the past. As we have all this water hemp that we're trying to deal with, and as we evolve towards probably eventually we're going to have Palmer amaranth, the key to those weeds is probably to try and keep them from coming up. We put a pre-plant herbicide down before planting or right after planting, but realistically we go out there, if we can row the corn good, we can probably be going and spraying some of these better residual type herbicides, trying to stack residuals on top of what's already out there with the goal of trying to keep these seed from coming up. Let that corn get growing, let it get to canopy, and let canopy take care of the weed control. I think we would have a lot better success doing that today with the weeds we're dealing with, and the amount of acres that we can plant in a day. It's really difficult for you or for us to spray them all in a timely manner when we get rains like we did this year, where it was raining enough to keep us out of the field for days and sometimes weeks on end, and it's just not practical logistically to get everything done without having some issues, risking of issues like this towards the end. So this field had Roundup, and basically the Callisto active ingredient is basically what was applied here with the appropriate adjuvants. Well, the adjuvants probably are what caused the problem, not the active ingredients, very likely. The Winfield answer plot system has done some work. If we go back to when the fungicides were first starting to get used, there was a rare case where fields were getting ear formation issues with the fungicides. They were getting blamed, but with the Winfield's answer plot system tried to mimic that. And what they basically found was if they go out there before that corn is tasseled, kind of from basically waist high to tassel time, sometime in there you can make it happen. But what it is basically straight adjuvants. Basically there's a non-ionic surfactant that's commonly used in the industry that was probably the most likely culprit. When that was taken out of the equation, they really couldn't screw those ears up like that. So Winfield's developed a product called Masterlock for use with fungicides to avoid that problem, but it just shows that it's not always what you think. You would think the herbicide did it. It was actually probably the adjuvant, and they're really successful in helping weed control when used properly and on labels. So we need to kind of keep that in mind as we go forward, that the labels are put out for a reason. So it's kind of unfortunate. Hopefully you don't have this in your field, but just wanted to make you aware of, if you had some fields that you're probably pushing the envelope, you may need to take a look at them and just be aware if yield is really disappointing, that's a possible culprit. So with that, that's this week's Field Friday segment, and we'll see you next week.